Welcome to Kung Fu Having number 2. We are going to talk about this insurrection on January 6th. This is part 1. I had to do this while it was quiet. I had to delete the other 3 video attempts that I've done at this. So first and foremost, let me apologize to everybody here who is a Trump supporter. I should also warn you now that this is probably the time that you should probably leave the video. You are not going to like what I have to say. I will respect your opinion and your political affiliation. I only ask that you do the same to me. I have nothing against you personally, just our moral compasses don't match up. Alright? And let me explain that for everybody who's about to get a raw hair up their ass. This goes to everybody that supported Trump. Because let me break it down for you. Alright, before I even get into the video. Let me break this down for you. If you supported Trump, then you supported his racist ideologies. I'm not saying that there are no racist ideologies with Democrats, because the most racist thing that Joe Biden ever said was, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Hi, Joe. And Joe, if you're out there, I'm also part Native, and you really need to step up on this Pipe 3 bullshit. Back to the point at hand. Alright, so for the record, I voted for Joe Biden. He was the lesser of two evils. He wasn't going around hollering racist shit outside of what I just said. But for Mr. Trump, again, before I get into this video about this insurrection, let me make this abundantly clear. My issues with Trump have been since I was like 19, 20 years old. All right, let me break those down for you Trump supporters who are probably gonna say shit to me. 1, personal note, I am part Cherokee. Mr. Trump decided that a group of Native Americans that didn't have to pay taxes on his casinos, whatever state that was in, I believe it was in California, that they didn't look like Indians to him. And that even if they were Indians, that they should have to pay taxes. Mind you, on a land that my ancestors that are black and white have taken from my ancestors that are Native American. Alright? So I get the fucking whole fuck over, while everyone else doesn't. So I get the fuck over, alright? And the cowboy and Indian movies, Native Americans technically weren't really the bad guys. But that's what you're raised on. My second issue with Trump is the Central Park 5. I'm a little older than they are. Well, at least I think I am. But back when that was going on, your president, you Trump followers here, supported the death penalty for 15-year-olds. Look at your 15-year-old child. Go look at your 15-year-old child right now. And picture having someone that you support with red hair tell you and the world they need to bring back the death penalty and these 5 kids should be lynched. There's videos about it. Go look for it. You don't have to believe me. I'm not here to make you believe me. I'm just here to let you know there are videos about it. There's also videos about they don't look like Indians to me. Alright? Fast forward to his presidency. From day 1. What a lot of you guys don't understand is the word Pocahontas is not a compliment to Native Americans. Just like you calling me chief for 3 years of my life is not a fucking compliment. It is a fucking insult. Me being called chief is far as bad as me being called the N-word. Or being called half-breed. Pick one. I've been them all. Yes, I've been a wetback and a gook and a spick too. So yeah, if you're supporting Trump's racism and his racist ideologies, that didn't come out my mouth right, but if you are supporting that shit, this is not the place for you to be right now. And you should probably go look at one of my Kung Fu videos and go insult me there. Do the keyboard warrior thing. But see, when you wish somebody's kid to be hung or death, I went back there for all the black people who support Trump, who apparently let that shit go by him, but yet are going to jump down Biden for saying, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Yeah. Okay, well, here's the thing about politicians. They don't give a fuck about us. Not the Democrats, not the Republicans. And you're probably wondering, why do I vote Democrat then? Because some of the Democrats that I would have voted for actually give a fuck. Like Elizabeth Warren, who's 4% Native American, which is less than what I am, but it's 4% Native American. Then you have Andrew Yang, who's Chinese. Yeah, that would have been awesome to have a Chinese president. And then there was PDP. I can't get your damn name right, buddy, so you're PDP today. Who's gay. Openly gay. History-making presidents right there. All 3 of them. So then it got down to Sanders, Biden, Warren. And then they got down to Warren, Biden. Biden won. So I voted for Biden. Because there was no way fucking hell I'd cut my goddamn hands off before I would have voted for Donald Trump. And let me explain that. And this goes to all people who support him. Asians, blacks, whites, Mexicans, who are also Asian. Let me break that down for you in case you don't know. Mexicans are Native Americans. Native Americans are biologically Asian. Enough said, do your history. Now, here we go. For all the Asians who were going around hollering, Trump 2020. So I guess because you're not Chinese, you weren't worried about the Kung Flu virus, the Chinese virus, the Wuhan virus, and all the other Asian derivatives because it didn't affect your Asian. It didn't affect you because you weren't Chinese. My crush is Chinese. 3 of my best friends are Chinese, even though we haven't spoken in 20 some odd years because they don't live in Charlottesville, Virginia. 1 for sure I know live in New York. 2 are in places unknown. I'm not giving out their names for their safety, just because you might not like me and might accidentally bump into them, and then they're going to have to kick your ass. And all of them know Kung Fu. So if I was you, I'd be really fucking careful at the Chinese guys that I'm talking about, because they will beat your ass. And then I have some Vietnamese friends. I have some Korean friends. I have some Filipino friends, some Polynesian friends. And if you're not amongst them, but you are Asian and you were Trump 2020, I got no love for you. Because my Asian friends that are Chinese and other racist people who don't know the difference between Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Laos, Indonesia, Korean, Vietnamese, North and South. I already named Korea, but Korea again, North and South. Malaysia, Jakarta, Indonesia, Philippines, Tahiti. If you're the Asians that are supporting Trump 2020 and other people, because there was a Filipino dude who got cut all the way across his goddamn nose. And he's not Chinese, but some racist motherfucker couldn't tell the difference, so he didn't give a fuck. You were Asian, we're just gonna cut you right across your fucking nose. And this happened in either New York or Chicago or somewhere, but this man was not Chinese and he got cut across his face. So if you're Asian and you were supporting Trump, you add it to that. So get mad at me if you want. You add it to that shit. And now let's talk Standing Rock. Let's not forget Standing Rock. Because if you were a Native American and you were supporting Trump 2020 and you added to that bullshit at Standing Rock. You added to that. Now I don't want to sound like a bigot and a racist and a pig, but I'm going to, because if you were white and you supported Trump, I kind of understand. Let me explain why I understand. Because a lot of white people that follow Trump were just lost. They fed into that racist rhetoric, and a lot of white people that followed Trump were just straight fucking racist. Period. Straight racist. But they were honest about it. So, I gotta give them ones a fucking hall pass. But, you know, there's no excuse for racism. Period. And yeah, this video is slightly racist to the people that support Trump, and I'm sorry if I come off as a racist, if I come off pissing you off. I haven't gotten to the blacks yet, but I'm about to. Let me go back for you blacks who didn't think that, it's okay for him to tell people, I want your child at 15 to be hung, as if black people weren't getting hung half a fucking century ago. But yet you want to support a man that way back in the 90s or the early 2000s when the Central Park 7 happened, how many of you can remember where the fuck you were then, if you weren't high or drunk? How many of you remember when he said, we need to bring back the death penalty and these 5 kids should be lynched and hung for raping this white lady, which DNA proved them to be fucking 1000% innocent. And that's just the beginning. I ain't even got to the insurrection yet. But I want y'all to think about everything I just said while you're watching this. So the last 15 seconds of this video and the points that I made. Think about that shit as I bring you back up to speed after Standing Rock, when he gave the wind talkers, the Navajo wind talkers, code talkers, whatever you want to call them, when he gave them their praise. And the first damn thing that came out of his mouth was, we have someone who's been here for a very long time. We call her Pocahontas. One wind talker cracked a smile and he broke. The other 2 stayed in military form. And they didn't crack a smile. But I could see the anger in their eyes. And it's not just because I'm part Cherokee. You could clearly look and see that that shit was about to go down. But they held their composure. Like a fucking soldier is supposed to. Like a native is supposed to. Because natives have been holding their composure for fucking eons. Understand that America is not a new country. Slavery was only over maybe 800 plus change years ago. But before slavery, when natives were getting scalped and people were getting paid out west for this shit. Let's not forget that a native took y'all out west. Her name was Sacagawea. Hero, maybe. Maybe not. All of a sudden you got the annexation of natives being removed from their land. Reservations are being popped up and treaties are being formed. And what's happening in the world today, no one has honored a treaty from day one of hitting Plymouth Rock, or 1942 Columbus, or John Smith, Pocahontas, Swanto, and Thanksgiving. No one's honored Treaty 1. But yet y'all want to get mad at me because I don't support Trump. Y'all want to get mad at me in this video, and that's fine because everything I fucking said is true. You just don't want to acknowledge that shit. So before I move on to the insurrection, let me take a minute to break this down to you. I've made bad choices in life. I've owned my choices. These people that were involved in this insurrection, they somehow believe that if Trump wins again, he's going to exonerate them. You're fucking yourself. You're lying to yourself. Trump shouldn't even legally be allowed to win again, or vote, or run, or whatever the fuck. But I'm sure all you Trump supporters are, yeah, he should be able to run again. He should be able to run again. But let me tell y'all something. If Obama did that shit, you motherfuckers would be fucking flipping your fucking wigs. Your heads would explode. It would be like finding out the leader of the Ku Klux Klan is actually a black man. Like when Dave Chappelle did that shit. And Dave Chappelle might be a little bit right, and you guys might not know that shit. Y'all might not know that the leader of the Klan might be a black man, because nobody hates black people more than black people other than racist white people and racist Asian people. But racism is not just a scope of who hates who. Because there's an equal amount of black people who hate black people. There's an equal amount of white people who hate white people. There's an equal amount of Asian people who hate Asian people. Because before all of our peoples collided with each other and became the human race, we were all human, but we all didn't know that white people existed. We didn't know that other people existed, like Asians and stuff like that, because our territories were never explored. And when we went beyond our territories and found out that other people existed, the first goddamn thing we did was try to conquer them instead of trying to befriend them. I.e. Genghis Khan, i.e. Attila the Hun, i.e. other people that I can't remember that were tyrants. And then there's Blackbeard the Pirate and all these other motherfuckers. But understand this. Before we all came into other people's lives, we all had wars in our own tribes and our own states. How the fuck you think slavery was won in Africa? The big tribes sold out the little tribes, and then my ancestors got put on a fucking boat. The ones that survived, whether they be on my mother's side or my father's side, the ones that survived somehow wound up in Virginia. Which is why I'm in Virginia. Before immigration happened, slavery happened. Before slavery happened, Native Americans were at war with each other also. I'm not shielding anybody from the fucking truth here. Tribes fought too. Tribes that didn't win were assimilated into bigger tribes. Same concept. Every nation has had slaves. Even white people have slaves. White indentured servants came to America as white slaves. So yeah, everybody's had slaves. We're never going to get over slavery. No matter what color you are, everybody's had slaves. Everybody. Go ahead and look it up. While you're doing that, I'll be going to something else. But everybody has had slaves. Whites had slaves that were white. Whites had slaves that were blacks. White had indigenous slaves. Indigenous people have been found out to have had black slaves. But they also took them same black slaves from white slaves and kept them safe from more white slaves. There's more to it than that, and I ain't got time to dig into it. However, I also found out that indigenous people also sold their own into slavery, and they also used their own as bargaining chips, because no one's going to kill their own family members in most cases. Which all this time I have been telling myself, if my Native American ancestors just sank all the boats, I would be full-blooded Cherokee. Come to find out, nope. Cherokees were number ones with the political games of making babies that were not all Cherokee. Hi, great ancestors. It fucked me up when I read that shit too. I was like, well, motherfucker, I might have always been meant to be mixed because of my Native American heritage. How fucking enjoyable is that? And let me go there. I'm gonna go there. So if you're native, I'm sorry. Let me apologize now, but I'm about to piss you off. I'm about to piss you off because it pissed me off when I found this shit out. So natives also used sex as a bargaining chip. All right, I went there. I came up too fast for air, so I'm a little dizzy. But yeah, you know, they used natives as bargaining chips. No, I don't know what I just missed, but I just missed something. But yeah, natives were used as bargaining chips tribally to get things. And here's another thing that I've learned from other natives on TikTok. A lot of natives slept with white people to get rid of the native blood. A lot of blacks have done the same. And I may very well come from those natives and those blacks and those whites. But I ain't gonna deny it. I'm two-toned. My true color is high yellow. But I am still native. I am still black. I am still white. I'm not ashamed of my heritage until someone from my heritage does something incredibly stupid. Someone's gonna be ashamed of me for making this video. I already know. That's the chance that I'm taking. A lot of Trump supporters are gonna come at me for making this video because you're all thinking, when are you gonna get to the insurrection? I'm about to get to the insurrection. I'm about to get to the insurrection right now in a minute. For those who are black, y'all know that saying, right now in a minute. For those who are military, you know the saying of hurry up and wait. And for all you normal people out there, you've never heard of right now in a minute because you probably didn't grow up in the ghetto and you're probably not Generation X. So let me break it down for you. Trump did and said a lot of racist shit. Alright? You Trump supporters that don't want to own up to that and follow up with that, that's fine. I got nothing against what you don't know. Or what you turn the blind eye to. Or what you plug your ears up because you don't want to hear that. And then you don't want to watch the videos and say the shit. But the man has been a fucking racist before he got political. I understand that he was a racist back in 1993. Where they don't like Indians to me. He was a racist in the early 2000s or late 90s whenever the Central Park 5 happened. Where those black kids should be death penalty. He was a racist with the Kung Flu virus, the Chinese virus. He was a racist with Standing Rock, but the first damn thing he told the Sioux that if he became president, he would not let Standing Rock continue. Obama stopped Standing Rock last day in office. First day in office. The first damn thing that the man who said that he wasn't going to let Standing Rock continue because he had no business ties to Standing Rock was Mr. Trump. And the first fucking thing he did, he said that I'm gonna push through Standing Rock with the fucking pipeline. They're still fucking actually having issues with Standing Rock, just in case everybody's not up to speed on that. And the new Standing Rock is now Pipe 3, which we all need to contribute to stopping and get these water protectors out of jail. But of course, as I said in the first 20 minutes of this video, and it ain't even 20 minutes yet, but in the first 20 minutes or 20 seconds or whatever, the treaties that we have made with natives have never been honored. Not one fucking treaty has truly been honored. Oh, we're gonna throw them a bone. You don't have to pay taxes with your casinos. We may give you guys some reparations, but we're not gonna give the non-federally recognized tribes anything. That's for somebody who came at me earlier on my TikTok. But yeah, we're not going to give the non-federally recognized tribes anything. We're not going to let them do anything with their land that we forced them to be on and we forced them to live on. But yet we're still trying to take that shit too. Let's get to the insurrection now. I can't even talk right now. Let's get to the insurrection as I piss you guys the fuck off. Let's get to the insurrection. Alright, so on January 6th, there was a Trump rally over there. And the White House was over there. And you guys can go find the video where Trump says that we should march down to the White House and have a little bit of something or another. I'm not going to quote this bastard, but y'all know what he said. It's on video. You can go find it. You can probably find it on Fox and CNN and NBC and CBS and ABC and the internet. because everybody goes to the internet for their news before they go anywhere else, because the internet tends to cover more shit that the mainstream media just refuses to fucking cover, because for some reason the mainstream media is not covering the MMIW. Let me guess, you don't know what that is. Missing and murdered indigenous women and girls. I left off the G, my mistake. They also aren't really saying shit about Pipe 3. So if you're not on the internet, you have no fucking idea what the fuck's going on with Pipe 3. But you know about that motherfucking insurrection though, don't you? They're still searching for some of you. Yeah, like 500 plus. They're still searching for some of you. They got the guy in the American flag face paint with the Viking horns. They got him because he was on the internet in the news talking about he only eats organic food. Motherfucker, you in prison. You don't get a choice. Let me make that abundantly clear for those who don't understand why I said that. Because when I was in boot camp, guess what? Red phase, you don't get a choice. Whatever's on that plate, you're going to eat. Whatever place you fall in line in, that's what you're going to get. Then you get to the next phase and you actually get a choice. But while you're in BC, you don't really get a lot of choices. And dare you stand up to a drill sergeant if you want. Dare you. Double dog dare you. Sock party, motherfucker. Any fucking how. No, I've never had a sock party. Wanted to be in one. Like, not on the receiving end. Had a couple of issues with some drill sergeants, which is why I went from Bravo to Golf to Delta. Alright? I literally was going to kill my drill sergeants in Delta. Drill Sergeant Walsh and whoever the other scrawny little motherfucker was, because they were abusing their power, and because I was a new transformer, they decided that they're going to abuse me. A 37-year-old who likes to fight. Yeah, you're all thinking, oh, James, you're probably going to get your ass kicked. Nah, because here's the one thing about fighters, and anybody who's a fighter, you can agree with this before I get off topic. Anybody who's a fighter, you can read a motherfucking fighter. You might not always be right about the fighting skills, but you can read a fucking fighter. These guys were not fist fighters. Whether it was infantry or not, they probably could kill a motherfucker with a rifle. But they were not fist fighters, and if you weren't at Fort Benning, when I was at Fort Benning, then you don't know what I'm about to tell you. The combatives that they were teaching us, you will get your ass kicked. I promise you. I knew more martial arts going in than I learned while I was in. Alright? The BJJ that they was taught, I'll fuck your shit up. That's why I'm always bragging about how much I sucked at BJJ. But I can fight. Believe me, I've been fighting since I was 6 years old. Half these motherfuckers is drill sergeants and shit. Ain't really been in no hand-to-hand combat because the military, and I'll be honest, the military stopped being hardcore in the fucking 80s and 90s. Once we got past 93, your military branch, unless you were a fucking Marine or a Navy SEAL, they dumbed that shit down. I talk to SF guys all the time. It's like, nah, they cut the real training got cut out in the 90s. The real training, we became softer. So when we started going to BJJ versus karate and boxing and shit like that, we started going soft. I'll be the first to tell you, we went a little bit soft. Now, the soldier himself is a different matter. The combatives that we learned, one of my straight up NCOs told me when I had to do guard duty, that's just going to get us killed. When you get off base, take another martial art. Because the combatives ain't shit. Now, when you have an NCO that's not in your company tell you that shit, you better take heed of that shit. And NCO was asking me, I was like, oh, well, they're teaching BJJ, but because I'm on profile, I'm not allowed to do everything that I'm supposed to do. Same thing when I was on profile with Taekwondo. I'm not allowed to do a lot of the combatives. They don't want me doing anything because my leg is fucked up. But the good news is I already knew Taekwondo before I got there. Hell, I've been doing Kung Fu since I was 7. Insurrection time. Because, matter of fact, this is just your intro. This is going to be your intro to your insurrection. So a lot of people understand that Trump was way down here doing his rally. And he had a bulk of people down there. All those motherfuckers down there, they stayed down there, free, running free. Now, that big clusterfuck that went down to the White House, some that may have came from there, some who have threatened their children, don't tell the police that I'm here if they come looking, because, you know, for some odd-ass reason, in 2021, and 2020, and 2019, all the way back to the year 2005, I think, is when cell phones came out. I'm not going to swear to that because I don't remember when I got my first cell phone, because now we can't live without these motherfuckers. But if you think that you ain't being recorded everywhere you go, you are a dumb motherfucker. I'm sorry, you're a dumb motherfucker. If you don't think you're being recorded everywhere you go, everybody has a cell phone. Even homeless people got cell phones. So if you don't think somebody's recording you, you really truly are fucking stupid. Alright? I'm sorry. We're going to start the total insurrection video in video number 2. Because this is 25 minutes long. And I took us way off topic. And I'm guilty as fuck of that. That's me owning my shit. Something that Donald Trump will probably never do.